Hey there. How are you? It's Jennifer Palmer, and welcome to the Welly Walk podcast. This is just a little check-in. This is a little thing to say, hey, I'm still here. I still exist. And I'm going to be back with a new episode soon. It's been quite a while since the last episode. It's been like 3 months, and in that time a lot has been happening on my end. Not crazy, but there was a family tragedy before the summer holidays, and I'm not going to talk about it here because it's raw and some of it's my grief to bear, but the greater portion is not mine, and I don't feel like this is the place to talk about it. But that, and then the summer holidays hit, and it was, 6 weeks with the kids, and we did go to Finland, which was amazing. So I don't know if you realized I just spoke to you in Finnish. Yeah, I said, hey. So a shout out to the Swedish-speaking Finns who we were staying with. Hey, I did learn some Swedish, you see? Talk, hey. I will learn more Swedish. My phone reminded me that I had been attempting to learn Swedish a year ago before summer holidays, because if you remember, we were supposed to be going to Finland then, and we got to the airport and my youngest son, his passport was rejected because it was going to expire within 3 months, and we just did not realize this was a thing because we were living under a rock apparently. And so Ace and I had to slump home and spend a week together going to Peppa Pig World, while my husband and my eldest son went to Finland and basked in the Baltic and the quietude of the pine trees. But this year we did it. We got there, and it was everything that I needed at the time. It was such a lovely week of solitude and stillness and wonderful people who we had wonderful conversations with and shared wonderful meals with, and lots of Scandinavian type things like pickles and dill and fish, and we sang some drinking songs around a vast table. But mainly we dipped in and out of the Baltic Sea, which, if you've never been, is a bit of a magical thing too. It is warmish, it is brackish, it is the salinity of your tears. So it feels soft on your skin. And when you dive underwater, it's okay to open your eyes. It feels good. You must want to do it. And the water, there's this green luminosity that you can see, and maybe you'll see a fish, who knows? And there's algae in the water, but there's algae in spa products, so it must be really good for you. And we did some sauning in the half light of the evening, because the sun doesn't really go down until about 11 o'clock. And then it comes right back up pretty soon. And my children, we didn't attempt to change to the local time, which was 2 hours ahead of UK time. So we just kind of stayed on our normal time, and the kids stayed up until late, and it felt really special for them. And then when we got home, we didn't have to deal with jet lag, which is fantastic. Anyway, so we had this wonderful week, and then the kids were home for 3 weeks, and I struggled a lot with just trying to hold it together and be a great mom, and also try to fit some clients in, and also deal with the fact I was making hardly any money for 6 weeks, but still need to spend money on the kids and taking them on adventures, and constantly having to deal with the assault of them wanting to buy things and wanting to do things, and that pressure that we get as parents with consumerism, especially when the kids are home for the whole 9 yards. And then we went to America for 2 weeks, and this was something I was anticipating would be really heavy and really hard, partially because we had made plans to see my family who have been most affected by this tragedy. And we did get to see them, and we gave them big hugs, and we were present. And it was all filled with this feeling of, what can we do to solve the situation, which you can't. You can't solve the situation. You can't magic it away. You can't wave a magic wand. You can't snap your fingers. There's nothing you can buy that's going to change what's happened. And this feeling of guilt around not being able to do more. So dealing with that feeling, but still also the love and the warmth of love, being present and being together, and hugs. And then we went and we saw my sister, who is just for an hour. We just got to see my sister for an hour because she's been in the hospital. And she's in the hospital because she's been dealing with something that's been a lifelong issue since she was 7 years old. She's had OCD and anorexia. And she's a brilliant artist, my sister. She's a brilliant thinker. She's a brilliant student, smart as a whip. But she's had this thing that's shackled her, and that she's had to deal with every single day and not be able to get the help that she needs since she was 7 years old. They've only ever really treated her it as a physical thing. They've never really given her adequate mental health care. And because she doesn't really have insurance, that's a real limiting factor in America for anyone who's dealing with this kind of thing. So she was back in hospital for something that she's ashamed of, and then it's ashamed that she's back in this situation again. But it was lovely to see her for an hour, too short. And then we made our way up to Maine to see my parents, who we haven't seen in 2 years. And that was heavy as well, because we're dealing with kind of end-of-life conversations, dealing with trying to sell their house, which they've been trying to do for 2 years. But their house is this beautiful sea captain's house, a wooden house painted white with black trim and Greek columns on a porch and granite steps in a wonderful town by the sea. And it's this beautiful place, but it's too big. It's too big, and it costs too much money to upkeep this old Victorian house. And it's filled with their things, and they have so many books. They call it Bookhaven. They have so many books that you go in and you're surprised the floors are still standing, that they can take the weight of it all. And they have so many documents, and from all their studies, they're academics, they're historians, and they like to hold on to things and to try and clean out the house and to downsize when you are older and you finally have to come to terms with paring down your life can feel pretty daunting. And definitely to my parents, it's very daunting, and they don't really want to be doing it, but they have to. And so this was part of the reason we were coming home. I needed to help my mom to sort through things. But how do you do that when you have 2 children who are there the entire time? And my husband is working on a new certification, a degree, so he had to do homework for several days on our holiday. And there just wasn't the capacity for someone to just take the kids for the day and for me to be with my mom and to help in the way that she needs help. So that was the summer. That was the summer. My dad has dementia, and there's lots of talk of him not being around this time next year. So it felt really heavy. So I didn't podcast over the summer because of this. And then we got back at the very tail end of August, and I've been ill ever since. And I don't know if it's because of the sheer weight of everything, and it has been preying on my sleep, as I think we all can relate to when you tend to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and thoughts are milling. And I've had such good sleep since March especially. I've prioritized my sleep. I've done all the sleep science stuff. I've really, really worked on it. And then all of this stress has flummoxed my efforts to a certain extent. But these are the seasons of life, aren't they? These are challenges that happen. The other thing that I found was tested was my ability to write my journal, which was funny because, I realized I haven't been writing my journal since the summer holidays started. And when I got back from Maine, I was like, oh, I've got to start writing my journal. I just keep putting it off every single day. It seems to get away without me. And it reminded me of Ethan Kross, who I've mentioned before. He wrote the book Chatter, which is about the negative voices in your head. And I talked a little bit about some management tools that he gives for dealing with these negative voices in your head. But I don't think I mentioned this one fact, which was that during COVID, they did a study to see how a number of different tools that therapists and psychiatrists give to help people would stack up. And they knew that COVID would be a really good time to test it because everyone was really stressed out, and they recognized that COVID was going to be a real mental health crisis, or had the potential to be. So in the study, they gave people a whole slew of tools to use. And a lot of them were really quick and easy things. And what they found was that a lot of these tools were really helpful, but the quick and easy tools had to be stacked in order to be as effective as one single tool that they found. So there was one single tool to rule them all, one single tool that was the most effective. And can you guess what that tool was? It was a tool they said all you needed was this tool, and it was equivalent to using a bunch of these other ones stacked together. It was journaling. But guess what? It was the least used tool of all the tools. And why is that? It's because it's effortful. It takes time. And when they say journaling, they were talking about expressive writing, as they call it, which is exactly what the morning pages, according to Julia Cameron in her book, The Artist's Way, and what I'd been doing for the last year. I had been writing 3 pages a day, stream of consciousness, just trying to be as honest with myself and as present with my feelings and my thoughts and the stuff that's milling in my brain, and to put it on the page, to vomit it out, to exercise it. And it really helped over this last year. But it was funny now that when the shish kebabs were really hitting the fan, when I was feeling really stressed and depressed and out of sorts, and I had this great weight of empathy for my family who had this great tragedy, I stopped writing. And when I got back from the summer holidays, I picked up The Artist's Way again, because I thought, oh, that's funny. It's funny. It's been a year since I did The Artist's Way, and it was so profound for me, this book and doing this course. It really started me on this mission and set the course for this last year. But it's the one book I haven't really looked back on and reviewed. And if you'll remember, we talked about David Epstein, and his book Range in the last 2 episodes. And we talked about spaced learning, which is one of the things he recommends for helping you to learn better, and what scientists have discovered helps you to learn better. And spaced learning is when you review something that you're trying to learn, but you don't drill it. You wait until you've nearly forgotten it before you pick it up and review it again. And then again, you put it away and you wait until you've nearly forgotten it before you pick it up again, and then you review it. So I had tested that out, and I had been doing that since I learned about this way back in last September with my psychopomps, with these people that I wanted to take their wisdom and onboard it. And so I had been doing space learning with all these other things, but not with Julia Cameron and The Artist's Way. And I think it's because it was such a big endeavor. It's 12 weeks, this book. It was a lot to review, so it just seemed like too big of a task. But now I went back and I thought, I should read these these chapters again, and maybe do once a week, just read it and just refresh my memory. And maybe there'll be some interesting exercises that I'll want to do, and it'll be an interesting comparison to this time last year. So I picked it up and I opened up the book just randomly. And the page I opened up to, the first paragraph talked about neglecting your morning pages and what happens and why it is that you might be neglecting your morning pages. And she said, you usually neglect your morning pages when there's something big going on. I thought, oh, here we go. She's already hit the nail on the head. Yes, I am neglecting my morning pages when probably I most need them. This last 3 months has been probably the most stressful in the last year in terms of external factors affecting me. And here I've stopped doing my morning pages. And it's obvious it's because it takes time. It takes time. Like Ethan Kross says, it is effortful to do morning pages. And so you think, oh, I can't fit it into the day. There's just too much on my plate. There's too much going on. And I just want to relax. I just want to give myself a treat. I just need to, take care of myself. And so I'd rather give myself some chocolate, have another cup of coffee, take a bath, read a book, listen to a podcast, just do something to soften the edges of the day instead of doing this thing that's going to be effortful, that's actually looking at the darkness. And so you just don't do it. And then Julia Cameron says, but what happens when you do this, if you have gotten into the practice of writing your morning pages, when you neglect them, you will start to feel crabby. And I definitely felt this way. I felt crabby. And then she says, and then you use your crabbiness as an excuse not to write your morning pages. And I was like, yes, check. That is also the case because I feel crabby. Then I just want to soften the edges. Like I said, I want to lean on some coping mechanisms. I want popcorn instead of what's healthy for me. And so I've been trying to get back to my morning pages. She also wrote later in that same chapter, and I remember this from doing The Artist Way, she said, how often do you just say that you're okay and that you're fine? When someone asks you how you're doing and you say, I'm okay, I'm fine. Yeah, everything's fine. And how often is that actually the truth? And she's not saying that you should launch into an explanation of everything that's going on with you. And some things are not for public consumption. And we say fine just to kind of lubricate the social cogs and keep society and conversation going and pleasant, which is fine. But you can't just say you're okay and fine to yourself forever and ever and get away with it. You can't just keep eating popcorn and having a glass of wine, smoking a cigarette, taking a bath, listening to podcasts, and never actually look into the darkness. You've got to look into the darkness. And the more you look into the darkness, and the more your eyes adjust and you see it's not so dark. It's actually something to be curious about. It's actually something to understand and to forgive and to help yourself with. And that's where the morning pages have been helpful. This last year, I realized that just giving myself that time every single day to check in with myself and making sure I take it off the top of my head, all this stuff that's weighing on me, the stuff that's going to wake me up at 2 a.m, the hour of the wolf, and prey on my mind. That's what I want to keep in check. So anyway, those are the things that have been going on for me. Oh, and it's interesting because we're going to be talking about Dr. K in this next episode that I've been trying to put together for you. I've been working on this episode all month, but I've been ill and I'm still ill. And what I've been finding is I can't be in the right frame. I just can't get my thoughts straight. I keep on recording the episode and then trying to patch it and trying to fix it where I don't feel like it's working and then just making it more of a mess. And so I'm going to come back to you with the episode probably in October. I need a couple more weeks to work on it, but it will be here. And we're going to talk about Dr. K, this psychopomp of mine who's been completely just one of my favorite people over this last year to learn from. And some of the wisdom, some of the things that I've learned from him, things about what's going on chemically keeping people from falling in love with each other, and that's keeping people who are together from connecting and bonding with each other and holding on to their bond, strengthening their bond. People who are already in a marriage, what keeps a marriage fresh? What's chemically going on there? He also talks about, and what I'm going to talk about, the physicality of emotions, which is a topic that I feel deeply about and understand not only from being an actor and being a Pilates teacher, but just from being a human being. I think we don't appreciate this as much. The physicality of our emotions and how we can heal ourselves through physicality, and appreciate this a little bit more. And he talks about something else that I thought was interesting is the traumatized child who becomes the traumatized adult, the traumatized child who becomes the adult who carries trauma with them, and how it affects your identity and how it affects your ability to move forward and to create a future for yourself. And how can we heal ourselves? How can we exercise our demons effectively? He also talks about what a successful quarter-life crisis looks like as opposed to an unsuccessful quarter-life crisis, which was very interesting to me because I was like, how does that stack up against a midlife crisis such as my own? And do I have a midlife crisis because I flunked my quarter-life crisis and I had to repeat a grade? So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about this superpower that I've been wanting to talk to you about for ages and ages and ages, which is the root of change, the root of you building your future, the root of manifestation. It's something that Dr. K said he thinks is 90% of the problem. It's part of the solution. So I want to, some little... I'm just going to dangle these carrots for you. So these are some things we're going to talk about in the next episode. But yeah, I wanted to just check in and say hi and let you know why I haven't been here and what I've been doing. And also the stuff that I've been dealing with over the summer has made me realize more and more another thing that we talked about in the last episode, which is that we learn through practice, not through theory. And a lot of the things I've learned over the last year that are supposed to help me, these tools to help me to understand myself and to be able to weather the bad times, I understand now that, you've got to practice these tools. You've got to build an awareness of yourself. You've got to practice and be aware of how you employ these tools in the good times. You have to learn in the good times how to do them. Because when the bad times hit, that's not when you start practicing them. That's going to be really hard. That's like throwing somebody into choppy water in the ocean and asking them to learn how to swim, as opposed to bringing them to a pool with a teacher in a shallow end and letting them learn there. And this is something that Dr. K mentions. This is a metaphor that he uses. Or is it a simile? A simile he uses for learning these skills that help us. And it reminds me of Herminia Ibarra, who said, we learn in practice, not in theory. So I'm going to leave you with all of that. And it's nice to see you. It's nice to talk to you again. And I hope your summers have been lovely and filled with warmth. And you had some lovely memories that you've made. I've definitely had some lovely memories made despite everything. I also want to give a shout out, some kudos to one of my listeners, Katie, who wrote to me saying that she put into place the schedule I talked about from TJ Power, his schedule of when he checks his email and his messages, which is to wait until 10 a.m., restrain yourself, and then check again at 3 and check again at 8. And those are your times. Those are your scheduled times when you do that kind of business on your phone or on your computer. So that way you're not constantly distracted by these tasks, these unfinished tasks, these messages that need to be dealt with. And she said it was a total game changer. And she's also deleted WhatsApp notifications off her phone. So I want to give her huge kudos for doing that. I have also started to do the same, and she beat me to the WhatsApp thing. I had been trying to get the WhatsApp notifications on my phone, and I tried so many different ways and couldn't figure out how to do it. I don't know. It was really frustrating. And finally, I figured it out. And I do have to say that has been one of the best things. That has been one of the best things I've done this year. I'm no longer distracted by the constant little banner that pops up saying that I've got a message, which just pulls me to my phone immediately. And I've been doing the schedule as TJ Power suggests it as well, trying to stick by it. It's hard, but it makes your day just so much calmer. And it keeps you from this distraction. And it's, why do we always have to be available? You don't have to answer everybody right away. I know it's frustrating, but I think we all need to come to terms with this, that we can't have immediate gratification when we text somebody or email them, and give everyone space. And also on the receiving end, feeling really stressed that you need to respond to somebody really quickly because that's what's being expected. We need to soften these edges, guys. We need to make life a little bit kinder. All right. And Katie also has a great Instagram account for anyone who's interested in nutrition and delicious meals. I don't know how she does it. She cooks up a storm constantly. Yeah, she boggles me with how many recipes she can make and get up there on Instagram. But really good to look and get some inspiration. So I'm going to put her Instagram account up on my show notes, the show notes here. So if you're curious, anyway, well done, Katie, and I'm with you. Total game changer at these things. Let's keep at it. And a little aside and another little carrot for next episode. I've also learned that not checking your anything, your email, your messages, your phone especially until 10 a.m. it preserves your dopamine. It helps you with your dopamine levels. Your dopamine is your motivation for the day, to attack the day. And as soon as you check your phone, you tank your dopamine. So waiting in as long as you can after you wake up to check that phone is going to help you. And we're going to talk about this in the next episode, especially because I haven't gotten into dopamine and all the nuancing and what the heck is dopamine. Some of you might be saying, some of you might know tons about dopamine, but for everyone else, I didn't know much about dopamine until I read TJ Power's book and listened to Andrew Huberman and Dr. K and all these people. I had no idea. And now I understand it. Everything makes sense. My motivation, my discipline, all these things, my understanding of dopamine is helping me in not checking my phone in the night, scheduling when I check it during the day, and trying not to check it for as long as I can after I wake up. These are all things that are going to help you maximize your dopamine levels. So we'll talk about that next episode. But now I want to say, hejdå. Hejdå to you all. And I'm speaking to you in Swedish again. Yes. Do you know what that means? It means bye-bye. So yeah, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff that we always talk about. Again, it really helps me. And I look forward to bringing you the next podcast, which is a bunch of really great stuff. But I've been working on this episode for so long, and it just doesn't seem to fall into place, but I'm learning that this is my process. And I'm not getting down on myself about it. And I'm not being a perfectionist that you might be thinking you're just being too perfectionistic. That's the voices in my head, at least, being like, you're being too much of a perfectionist. But when it's right, it's right. And I want it to be right for you. So hang tight. I'll talk to you soon. Hejdå. Bye-bye. And may the well be with you. Bye.